We just get stuck. And this lady is dynamic, she's powerful, she's persuasive, and she knows how to get you unstuck. And she knows how to coach you and mentor you and take you where you want to go. So let's give a nice mastermind welcome to Mrs. Ann Feinstein.
How self-actualized you are, how confident you appear, or even how successful you've become. You're going to get stuck. Now, it's an afternoon and I was sitting at my desk, staring at the laundry list of items that I had written down on a piece of paper, three-way calls, a list of calls that I had to make. I had to get back to my travel agent. We had a change of venue and a new city for a big event that was coming up. I had an editor of a women's magazine waiting for the final edit for an article with a looming deadline. I had a couple of other issues that had come up back at home. And I had to find David the perfect birthday gift. And a dental appointment in about 25 minutes. To which point the phone rings, and David's downstairs in his office, and I'm upstairs in my office. And that's a secret to a 30-year marriage. And he says to me, honey, on the intercom, honey, Randy's on the phone. To which point I did one of those big sighs. Now, it wasn't because it was Randy calling. It was because I know he knows and can pick up on my energy. And he knows when I am at a stress moment and feeling stuck. And so I pick up the phone and we start talking because we had some team tools that were in the process, which I forgot to mention in that laundry list. We were also totally revamping all of our team tools with a deadline for a big event that was coming up. And so we're going over the changes for those team tools. And then he says to me, so, what's your topic for the mastermind event? Now, I guess I didn't answer him fast enough because at this point my brain is fried. I've got so many things going on and I'm juggling all these things at the same time. And I'm thinking to myself, and he goes, Feinstein, he calls me Feinstein. And when he says Feinstein, I know he's getting a little annoyed. Feinstein, it's only 5 weeks away. Now, I must have looked like a deer in headlights and an emotional mess at that point. And so, of course, not wanting to not look prepared, I open up my planner and I start going through that page that I'd written down some ideas just in case. As I was thinking of different ideas, I would jot them down. And so, I open up the planner to that page and I start telling him a couple of the different topics that I had thought up of. And of course, I'm not getting any positive response. I'm getting that, So I said to him at that point, I'm just feeling so overwhelmed and stuck. At which point he says to me, perfect, that's what you're going to talk about. A lot of times that's what happens, isn't it? We have to have a lesson and then we go out there and we teach it. So now I sit back in my chair and I'm laughing hysterically because I'm thinking, this is a perfect topic to teach and I've got so many crazy, crazy things that have come up. 7 strategies for getting unstuck. What a great idea. And just as I start to talk to him about that a little further, David buzzes me from downstairs and says, honey, you've got a dental appointment in 25 minutes, and I have to run out the door. Randy, I'll call you right back. Boom, hang up the phone. Now, I tell you this because there are a lot of times in your life, and especially in leadership situations, where you're going to be juggling a lot of different things. Okay, and there are going to be times where you feel your creativity, your juices, and all those things that are going on, suddenly you come to emotional moments, you come to challenges, you come to places where you've got to find solutions, you come to all of your self-sabotaging tendencies. Anybody have any of those? Okay, and all those roadblocks that come up to having a clear path to where you want to be. So, I'm the type of person, and I'm sure there are many of you that are in this room today that are the same way. We like to know where we're going, okay, because we can see where we want to be. And it gets frustrating when that's not a clear path. I know that I like to accomplish things. How many of you like to do that? There's checklists, you know? How many are there? All the A's are raising their hands. There are all the Reds raising their hands. Checklist. I like to check things off. And when I can't check stuff off, it makes me crazy. Okay? It's because something is stuck. And I can't move through that. So, back to the conversation. You know, we start working on this idea of 7 strategies for getting unstuck. Now, I said, sometimes you're going to end up with, like I said, challenging moments where you feel like everything is coming to a head. Anybody have one of those experiences? Where all of a sudden it feels like everything's coming to a head. And if you really start to look at this, okay, the creativity that happens out of breaking through this time of stress or breaking through these roadblocks that keep us stuck, okay, happen as a result of one issue that opens up the whole thing. And I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. We're just going to continue on in this conversation. So, we come up with the 7 strategies for getting unstuck. And one of them is exactly what happened to me that day, changing your perspective. In the middle of that conversation with Randy, I realized I had to go to the dentist. Okay, so I had to jump up out of that chair, get myself into the car, and as I'm driving, all the creative juices start to open up. I start thinking of the ways in which that I could maneuver through all of these different activities that I had to accomplish. And all of this had to be done in the next 36 to 48 hours. I mean, all the deadlines were coming to a head. So, getting to the dental office, now of all places, right? You know, some of you may not think that's the most relaxing place to let your creative juices flow. But what I find is that when I move out of the situation, okay, I'm able to actually come back into it because the subconscious mind is continuing to move on that particular problem or that particular challenge. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, as I maneuvered through that particular list of accomplishments and things I needed to do, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. So the first thing is, change your perspective. Give yourself a break. Nobody is going to die if you take a 10 to 15 minute break. You give yourself a chance to get up. I like to go outside, take a walk with the dogs. I have 3 little puppies. They're my great perspective changers. Take a walk, go outside. Some of you probably like to do exercise. Now, how many of you tend to get out, go to the gym, exercise, get rid of the energy or the tensions that are going on to move past it? Some of you probably like to journal. Okay, some of you, my husband likes to meditate. Okay, it helps to release the brain and give the brain a chance to come back to a creative mode, to a relaxed state. Okay, whatever it is, you need to find something that will allow you to get out of that moment and have a creative thought process. some of you, could be putting, golf. A lot of guys like to go play golf. Some guys like to weightlift. Okay, some women like to go out and do different things with their children, lunch with the girls. These are all things that will help to change your perspective. Get away from the problem for a moment and give it a chance to germinate. Okay, now let's go on to the second one. The second is challenge your thinking. Now, I had an interesting call with one of my leaders. Called me on the phone. She'd be really pushing hard to get to the next pin level. And she had a lot of things happening. But again, there was this little stuckness that was going on. I could hear it in her voice. Normally, she's real bubbly when she gets on the phone. This time, it sounded like, hello. Ever hear one of those from your top leaders? You know something's wrong? Hello? Okay, like they're taking the last breath. What's up? I just placed all these calls, I talked to all these people, and nobody can do anything. One of those calls, where everybody's on vacation, everybody's going away, nobody has time, and I could hear her just like she just wanted to vomit on somebody. And I happen to be the person that she called. Because you always call your upline, vomit up, don't vomit down. So I said to her, really? Everybody's going on vacation. I said, I had a guy who actually, it was an interesting story. A couple of years ago, I started telling her the story about this guy. We had this great organization that just started building in the spring. Okay? And we get a really nice momentum going into the summer. And then we're about to go into August, and he calls me on the phone, and he says to me, Ann, we're about to go into August, but I gotta tell you something. Nothing's gonna happen in August because everybody goes to the beach. Did anybody ever hear that? Everybody goes to the beach. I said, really? Everybody goes to the beach. Wow. Now, of course, it was the first time I was working in that international market. So I'm thinking, he must know something that I don't know. So I said to him, oh, okay. All right. Figured let that fester for a while. So I continue to watch this group, and the volume continues to grow. And the volume after the first week is more than it was the month before. And the volume in the second week is more than it was in the third week of the month before. So I pick up the phone and I call him on the phone. I said, hey, listen, you know that beach story you told me? So he goes, yeah. I said, it's not working for you. I said, what do you mean? I said, have you been in your back office lately? Now, of course, what was the beach story, really? He had checked out and gone to the beach. Okay, he wasn't even paying attention. Of course, I'm sitting there thinking, everybody's on the beach. This thing is going to fall apart. I can't believe it. And I'm looking there and it's going up, and the numbers 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 going up. I said to him, you better get in that back office. Now, I had already looked in the back office, and I had identified where this was coming from. This volume was coming from a group of guys that we had put into his business and started to work with, and they were young, and they were hot, sexy guys. Okay? I had a hard time going over there to work with them. After my fifth, after my fourth trip, and I'm over there and I'm working with them, and these guys are so cool, fun, having a great time. There are these bunch of guys that had just come into the business at the end of July. Okay? Nobody told them that everybody goes to the beach. And I said to him, for goodness sakes, please don't call them and tell them this. Okay, now he's looking at this and he's like shocked. Okay, because he had already written this off. He bought into something, didn't he? Yeah. Okay? So I'm telling this story to the gal who's telling me how stuck she is and how everybody's in the beach. Okay, stories are more impactful than sitting and having a lecture with your downline, especially when they're in this state of mind. And she's going, really? The whole time, I can hear her voice. She's going, really? Now we're coming back up to the octave that I'm accustomed to, which is this high energy person. She said, well, what happened then? And I said, by the end of the month, the volume had doubled from the previous month. I said, now, by the end of September, the volume had doubled from the month of August. By the month of October, diamonds were breaking, and it was insane. So I said, let's get back to your problem, though. Okay, what's really got you stuck? And she starts laughing, and she says to me, you know, I think I bought into a couple of people's stories. You know, I spoke to a couple of people, and they told me that, well, you know, that was probably 3 people. You know, by the 4th one, she's ready to commit suicide, and calls me. Now, because we hear and listen to the stories, guys, listen to stories. You can tell this story to anybody that tells you, okay, they're stuck because nobody's something, whatever. Well, let me tell you about that woman who had that group, who everybody was going to go to the beach. Okay, you have a new story now. For the next time that somebody in your organization tells you the beach story. And I said this to her. I said, so you bought into some other people's stories, but you want to rank advance, right? Brought her right back to where she wanted to be. She said, yes. I said, well, let's start focusing on some revenue-producing activities that are going to get you to where you want to be. Okay, and so we started to put together a plan, get her past that, made a few 3-way calls with her, did some meetings, and of course invited a nice group of people to join her in the business. So everything changed when her perspective changed, when her thinking was challenged. Okay, when she had another way of looking at what she thought was an insurmountable problem. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3. Okay, another one of my favorites. The whole idea of fear. I can remember a couple years ago, I was giving a seminar, and I was talking about the power of inviting. And I was getting so excited about this topic and about the excitement that it was causing in our organization, the power of inviting. In the back of the room, unbeknownst to me, was Art Jonak. Okay, he actually was in town and he was visiting, and he's in the back of the room and he's watching this. At the end of this session, he comes up, grabs me, okay, talks about the topic. I was shocked that he was there. I was actually almost fainted that he was in the back of the room. And he said to me, you know, you've got to start to do videos. Videos? I mean, that was like the look on my face. Videos? I just finished doing a presentation that I was sweat bullets over. And he says, yeah, you got to start to do videos. Okay, well, this thing stayed with me for years. And of course, every time I saw him coming at an event, you know, I'd go like, hey, Art! You know, and I would keep going in this direction because I figured he's going to ask me, did you do any videos yet? But you know, that stayed with me, and it stayed with me, and it stayed with me. Now, what was the reason that I never got to that? Fear. Okay? Fear. Did I have the right camera? All the excuses that I didn't have the right camera. I didn't know how to use the camera. I didn't know how to set up the right environment. I didn't have the right audience. Okay? For ladies, you understand this. My hair wasn't ready. I didn't have the makeup on, and I hadn't gotten my nails done. So, I mean, that's it. We're done. So, situation continues on for a period of time, and then I start to see all this stuff going on Facebook. Okay, how many people have seen the Facebook thing, and you're watching this whole social media, and you're watching all this stuff with YouTube? And I'm saying, you know, you see these kids, they get onto a video, they go like this, and they do a video. 5 million hits. And I'm saying, you know what? You know, like this, something's wrong. Okay, maybe my thinking is wrong. Maybe it's this fear of perfection. Anybody have that perfection thing going on? Okay, especially about videos. So, you know, I start contemplating this and thinking about it, and I'm watching the social media situation, what's going on. And so I pick up the phone and I call Randy. I know there's a pattern here. Pick up the phone and I call Randy and I say, Randy, I'm ready. Of course, Randy goes, ready to do what? And I said, I'm ready to do videos. Now, I had done videos for Randy while I held the camera. I was very good at holding the camera for Randy, by the way. Okay, I had actually been with my team leaders because they needed it, some of them in a foreign language, and I was the one that was helping them and directing them, you know, and putting their videos together. Because I like that. I like being behind the camera. Okay, and then I thought, what am I afraid of? I'm waiting for it to be perfect? Everything has to be perfect? You know, the perfect present. How many of you have held up on doing something because you didn't have the perfect presentation, you didn't have the perfect phone call, the perfect script, the perfect strategy? Guys, I gotta tell you something. Authenticity is better than perfect. Authenticity is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Action is better than perfect. So I tell Randy, I said, you know what, I'm ready. I'm going to start doing these videos. So he says, okay, listen, next week we're going to be in Hawaii together at a diamond retreat. So he says, you bring along the 5 topics you want to talk about. Listen to this. This is a great leadership nugget. Bring along the 5 topics you want to talk about for your first 5 video shows. Okay? And we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it. Well, now I have to get prepared. I mean, after all, I'm going to meet with Randy Gage. We're going to sit down and talk about 5 topics. So I sit down, start writing out a list, you know, working on this list and so forth because I'm going to be prepared. And I go to this meeting and we sit down and we go through this whole list, you know, we're talking about it back and forth and so forth. And then he says, okay, now, before you leave the island, I want you to videotape 2 shows. Oh my gosh. But he broke it down to something that I could handle to get past the fear. Okay, how many of you have broken it down, you're learning this weekend, about how to break down the process to make it so simple for an 8-year-old, remember? Yeah. Well, a little more than 8, okay, but at least it made sense to me. Break it down. It wasn't now a show, it was now 2 videos. So, by this point I had a camera, I had a great cameraman, he was right there, David Feinstein. We're in Hawaii, the setting is fabulous, right? Okay, my nails were done. Okay, and I fixed the hair. And I'm ready. So guys, I'm asking you, okay, you probably have something on your list that you may be afraid of. Okay, that's holding you back, that's keeping you stuck. Could be that $1 million person on your list. Okay, remember what you heard Sarah talk about last night. Okay, the $1 million mistake, a phone call that she didn't make. I don't think you want to have $1 million fear. Now, I tell you that because this is how I started doing my training videos, to get past the fear. Now it doesn't have to be so perfect. It's a little less perfect. Okay, but perfection can keep you stuck. Especially if you're a person who has come out of an environment like I did with corporate America. Everything had to be perfect. How many of you have come out of corporate America? Well, you're going to find in this profession, it's not always going to be perfect. We sort of have to move with the groove as things come along. But if you're prepared to understand that if you take the right steps, get past that fear. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now, and I would say, Randy, David, have a good support team around you. Okay, great confidence. That's why I went to him, and that's why I went to David, and I said, guys, I need your support. I need to have you with me, okay, in order to get past this fear. How many of you have created that strategic support around you? Okay, if you haven't, that's something that you should put on your to-do list. Okay, because there are going to be situations that come up that create fear. When you have the right group around you, okay, all of a sudden, especially if they're supportive, they're honest, they have your best interest at heart, okay, amazing things are going to happen as you transition into the next step of comfort zone. Okay, you heard Randy talk about that this morning, right? Didn't he say that one of the major steps of leadership is what?
Get uncomfortable.
What?
Get uncomfortable.
Get uncomfortable. Okay, remember that? Okay, this is a great test in your leadership about stepping forward, stepping through something that makes you feel uncomfortable. So, in moving along, as I was talking to one of my personal clients, I do some coaching for some of the people in the industry. One of them came to me, and you know, this whole multitasking thing is crazy these days, isn't it? Do you remember when we used to be able to leave the office at 5 o'clock? Okay, we can't do that so much anymore, can we? We were talking about that. Bob and I were talking about that earlier. I mean, first of all, we have cell phones, right? Everybody has our cell phones. We have Facebook. We have all kinds of things that's constantly beeping at us. We're probably sitting at dinner, some of you maybe, checking emails or checking text messages. Okay, sometimes we're doing that with our kids. Okay, or we're answering emails and talking on the phone at the same time. Now, come on, tell me, how many of you are going to tell me you've never been, okay, someone that's done that? So this gal is telling me that she is so overwhelmed right now with having a business to run. She has children. She has a network marketing business now. She has all these activities for the family. I have no time for myself. Now, how many people have heard that from their downline or maybe feeling that themselves? So I said to her, look, the first thing you have to do is take out your planner. Okay, how many of you use your planner every single day, all week? I do. I said, take out your planner, and the first thing I want you to do is open up the week at a glance, and I want you to circle the time that you're going to have a date with your husband. And she looked at me. I could hear her on the phone. She said, a date with my husband? Like, we got married. We don't date anymore. I said, no, you're going to have a date with your husband. And if you're sitting here, guys, you're going to make a date with your wife. And she was like, wow, you know what? I never thought of it. Why are you focusing on that first? I said, because if you make him feel important, you're going to get so much more cooperation about this business and about all the responsibilities you have as a woman and as a mother in this family. I said, so the first thing I want you to do is circle. How many of you have a date night already set up? This is awesome. Look at this. Okay, date night with your husband. First of all, when you come in the house and you go, honey, I want to set up a date. Really? You may also get, for what? I'm not going to tell you what to do on your date. But I am going to tell you that it certainly will get their attention. Okay, now you have the date. Now you start talking about all the activities for the family, for the children. Okay, do you think that he's going to be a little more cooperative about driving, you know, Susie over here and Bobby over there? If you've got a date night, of course. I said, now you put in the time that you're working your regular job. Okay, block it in there so you can see what your day starts to look like. And I want you to then block in the time, the 10 to 15 hours a week, that you're going to do and dedicate to your network marketing business. I could hear a sigh of relief coming from this gal. Okay, after she was able to take all this stuff that's out there and create a plan. And she put it together, she started to look at it. I said, now let's talk about the revenue producing activities that you're doing with your team and the three-way calls that you now can set up because you know what times you have available and the times that you can do presentations for your own business and the times you can do your inviting for your own business and so forth. So we started working through all this. And I gotta tell you, once you lay all this out and you make sure that your teams are doing it, it's one of the first things that I do with a new team member. And I'll tell you why. We have an expectation. Well, the guy works, right? We know he works, he probably has a job. Well, you know, he probably has his other part of his life pretty well handled. Well, he's probably doing this, he can probably fit in these hours. You know, if I make it sound too structured, he's liable to get nervous. No. I found that the better you help them in coaching your new team members, lay out a plan, so they personally can see how they can accomplish this in their life and work their business with you in your network marketing team, it's going to be so much easier for them. It's also going to let you know when they're working their business. It's going to let you know when you can start scheduling three-way calls with them. It's going to let you know when they're making their time available for the business and that they can be responsible in building theirs and being at all your events. So I highly recommend, especially when you have a stress-related stuckness having to do with time management. Okay, where there's so many things going on, we need to make changes and help people. Now, that leads into, I also said to her, make sure you take the oxygen mask and put it on first. I said, you've got to take care of you. Now, it turns out she loves to hike. Okay, she loves to run. She wasn't doing that. Why? She couldn't figure out the time. She also had to do it around the kids' schedule, especially in the morning, getting 3 kids off to school. Now she's got a date night. Okay, husband is more accessible to watching and taking care of the kids and getting them off to school because now they're cooperating together. You know, I was talking to another one of my leaders, and we never know what's going on unless we ask. We may have an idea of what's happening in a person's life. You know, having lost my mother myself back in 3 years ago, actually, this past month, I know how devastating that is. You know, I know that over the next 6 months, I really let myself go. I started packing weight on. One day, as I knew it, I went in the closet. Okay, you know the back of the closet? You know what I'm talking about, ladies. I go in the back of the closet because nothing fit. And I'm scrummaging through the back of the closet to the camouflage clothes. We all have those, right? And I pull out the camouflage clothes and I go to this event and I say to myself, that's it, I am taking care of myself. I'm getting back to working out. I'm getting back to looking at making sure how I'm taking care of what I'm eating, making sure I'm taking care of my rest, okay, making sure I'm taking care of my family. Well, I said the same thing to one of my leaders who had just experienced her father passing away from her brother in the span of 3 months. And she's running a huge organization together with her male partner. And so we're talking, and I said to her, when was the last time you took a day for you? I hear this sigh on the phone. And I said to her, that's your assignment. Well, I've got this big event coming up, and I've got all these things to do, and, you know, she was part of the issue with the change of the ticket and having to find a new venue because they had to change some things around. And I said, I really don't care. I said, all of that will fall into place if you're okay. All of those things are going to take care of themselves and you're going to work them out. But you need to have some time for you. I mean, isn't that part of what we're doing for this business? I didn't go from a 60 to 80-hour work week in network marketing to have no time for me. I saw all those people that were successful ahead of me, and they all looked relaxed. They all looked like they were having fun. Okay, and that's what attracted me from the very beginning. They were going on trips. They were going to different places, visiting exotic locations, having fun. All I heard was fun and freedom. Fun, freedom, fun, freedom, fun, freedom. I couldn't sleep anymore. I was hearing it. I was listening to it at night. Fun, freedom. And we're not taking care of ourselves? Take a spa day. The other day, David and I took a Sunday. I'd just been on a massive, crazy trip schedule. Whenever I come back from a lot of travel, training sessions and so forth, or just a lot of, you know, busy time periods, we always block out a day. Okay, it usually involves something with a spa, a massage, reflexology, usually a lunch together, and the dogs. And we just take a day, okay? It happened to be a Sunday. Some of you may have seen the video that I did on my blog, my video blog. It was all about just take a day. Go have some fun. Let your team know you're having fun. You know, they need to see that you're having fun. This is a fun business. Taking care of yourself is one of the most important things. Okay, if you're hungry, eat. If you're tired, rest. Okay, if you need to let loose and get rid of some stress, do it. Okay, you will not be able to give your best if you're not letting and making sure you're taking care of you first. Now, the sixth strategy here is get support. As I mentioned to you a moment ago, I was in the middle of getting ready for a big tour during the summer. We had a tour that was going on started in Buenos Aires, then we went to Vegas. Listen, this is tough. Buenos Aires, Vegas, Moscow, Italy, and
Thailand.
Thank you, Felipe. And so, right before the Italian segment of this, a couple of the leaders and general managers called me and said, listen, there's a couple of different groups that are coming in. Would you do a private training for them? Now, these are two really tough groups. I have to tell you, I mean, they are tough. I won't tell you which countries they're from, but they're tough. And I said, bring them on. I said, because you know what? If we can help them get past some of the stuckness in their groups and in their minds, there's going to be massive changes in these organizations. I said, I'd be happy to spend some time with them. So we set this up. We had a big, beautiful, private conference room set up. And they all walked in. You could see them walking in and looking at each other. You know, coming in, sitting down, taking a seat. I'm talking about tough people. And they walk in and they sit down, they take a seat, and so, you know, I'm bubbly Ann. I walk in and I go, hi! I go, listen, here is a whiteboard, and we are going to write down everything that has you stuck. And we're going to write down every challenge that you have in your business. Everything that has kept you from becoming a diamond in your organization. And you can see the eyes are like this. Really? I said, yes. I'm going to write them all down. I said, just start calling them out. So they're calling out one challenge after the other, and another challenge after the other, another challenge after the other. And I'm writing them down. I said, I guarantee you this, by the time you leave this session, okay, in 2 hours, it'll be 2 hours. Every one of those challenges, every one of those issues that you have, you'll have a solution to them. Fair? And they looked at, oh yeah, sure. The look on their faces. I said, that's the deal. I said, let's start with the first one. So we go through this whole list. Now, it took 3 hours. It didn't take 2. At the end of the 3 hours, you could feel the energy of the room lifted. When you see people that are coming in, they're all tight, because they have somebody has said no to them too many times. They think they have nobody left to talk to. Okay, they think nobody in their country is left. It gets crazy by the minute. They think that they can't have a meeting in their town. Okay, they can't find hotels. There's so many of those can'ts and different issues that were coming up that were legitimate. Okay, legitimate. They needed somebody to tell them it's okay, and we're going to find solutions. Okay, and you're gonna know how to respond and talk to people when they ask you these kinds of questions. Okay, you're gonna walk out of here with posture. My big thing is purpose, passion, and posture. When you have purpose in your life and your business, everything changes, doesn't it, Andy? When you have passion about what you do, and better yet, do people see your passion in you, in what you do? Do they hear it? And do they see your posture? Okay, and I don't mean posture. I have sometimes the worst posture. I'm talking, my mother used to say, stand up straight. How many people have that? I have, stand up straight, put your shoulders back. No, I'm talking about posture. Okay, posture in the way in which you communicate, posture in your enthusiasm, the posture in your activity level. So we go through all these questions, and the energy has changed, and people are feeling good, and I'm going, okay, this went really well, and I'm actually feeling good about it. And as I get ready to leave, one of the leaders goes like this, grabs me, and he's a very conservative businessman. And he says to me, Ann, I need to have a private discussion with you. I'm thinking, didn't we just cover everything? I need to have a private discussion with you. And I look up at him, because he's very tall, and I go, okay. So off we go, and we sit down in a private corner, and you can see he's squirming in his business suit, and he's kind of like uncomfortable, and he says, listen, let me get right to the point. I've got a bunch of people in my organization, and they don't like each other. And we're having a lot of ego issues, okay? And they're worried about who's making money at the events, and who's bringing people, who's not bringing people, and it's just escalated to an ugly place. Can you fix that? I look up at him like this, and I go, okay, listen, this is the deal. Let them have the next 2 days of this event. Okay, this may be an issue that you walked in with, right? When you came here yesterday. Now, let them go 2 days in this event. Do you think something might change? And he went, well, yeah. Okay, you let them go 2 days at this event. And I said, and right here, as soon as that last person speaks, okay, you bring him to the back of the room, that far corner, and I want to meet with them for 5 minutes, because I've got to go somewhere, or back to the hotel, and I have a meeting. And he goes, great, thank you so much. I said, it's my pleasure. Now this event was electric, okay, with an amazing team and corporate and diamonds and leadership and excitement and all kinds of testimonials, yada, da, da, the normal, amazing event. I mean, bigger, better than you can imagine. At the end of this, I can see them all standing there waiting. So I go to the back of the room, far corner, off to the side, outside the room, and they're lined up like this. There's like this group, I guess the A group is now facing the B group, And I feel like Moses walking between them. So I come in front of them and I go, wasn't that an incredible weekend? And I look around and I see them all going, yeah. So let me ask you something. What did you think of the leadership there? I said, do you think that you got some strong leadership there? And they're going, yes. I said, do you think there are any egos in that group? Oh, yeah. Okay, I said, did any of you see evidence of ego issues between any of those leaders? No. But now everybody's looking down. No. And I said, so, when you go back into your markets, you basically have two options, two choices, two types of social proof. I said, you could go back home, start your meetings, resume what you've been doing, and show social proof that nobody's showing up and nobody's cooperating. I said, that's one option. I said, or you can go back to your markets and show social proof of everybody being part of the events, everybody cooperating and almost liking each other. I said, and the cooperation and everybody wanting to bring people is going to change everything. You see everybody like fidgeting a little bit. And I said, so what's your choice? A or B? Now, everybody now starts to dart eyes. You know, A is darting eyes at B, B is darting eyes at A, and so forth. Okay, to which the leader, the very conservative businessman leader who set this up says to the group, let's do a group hug. To which, these are not Americans, to which everybody now, moves together and starts to hug, okay, and I can show you what that looks like, because I took a picture, and they're hugging. And I figured, you know what? My work is done. Bye, ciao baby, I'm out of here. So I go back to the hotel, and I was feeling really good, because I could see there was the shift in energy, that they were talking, they were taking pictures with each other. It was really cool. I get back to the hotel and I start getting text messages. Okay, text messages are, we're all having dinner together. Oh my God, and there's no blood. I said, and he says, and we're not only having dinner together, we've just formed a council, okay, for our events. We've just set up the next couple of events, and we're so excited, and then other texts start coming in from some of the other people in that room. I said, guys, this is what it's about. Okay, if you're facing something where you're stuck, okay, and you've tried everything that you can, before it escalates to a point, get support. Look for somebody that can come in and be that third party mediator. And sometimes it's going to be in relationships. Sometimes it's going to be in your group. And sometimes, it's going to be even bigger than that. Now, you have to have faith. Okay, it's the seventh strategy. You've got to have faith and feel and understand that this is going to be part of the process. Because I have to tell you that, as you know, sometimes as you're moving through challenges and stuckness, okay, it gets darker before it gets lighter. Am I right? Haven't you heard some pretty amazing stories this weekend that have illustrated that? Where it's gotten so dark, but those people never lost faith. And I can tell you for sure that when you're building something of massive proportions with bigger goals than you ever had in your life, okay, that what is going to get you through it is your faith. It's going to give you that vision to continuously keep moving forward. It's going to give you that hope. You know what hope stands for? Helping other people evolve. As you help yourself, you're able to help other people. I didn't realize it was the stuckness that we're talking about today that kept me, and actually setting this speech up and thinking through a message that would be so powerfully important to you, that was actually the block that was holding all these other things that I didn't even think of. It was so subconscious. So what was I able to do? I came back from the dentist. I made the 3-way calls. I was rocking. Okay, I got on the phone, okay, with some people that I needed to follow up with, some calls that I had lists. It was like one after the other. It was empowering because I'd taken that break. Okay, my creative juices were back. I finished up with those team tools. I got some feedback out there, the input. We started making the changes we needed. We met our deadlines. I got up the next morning, okay, a little earlier. Like I said, you need to get up an hour earlier, go work out, whatever you have to do. You have a project, a deadline. Got up the next morning, edited that magazine article for the women's magazine, got that done. Later in the day, found the perfect present for David for his birthday. And all because of a great friend. And you're going to all hopefully have that same support, energy in your business with the people that you work with, between a wonderful husband, a fantastic partner, Randy Gage, and David Feinstein, to be able to get back into balance, and to be able to move forward and to do great things. So guys, I gotta tell you this. Every one of you has an epic story inside of you. Every one of you, okay, has been put on this earth and created to do amazing things. So let's get out there